Hey Peeps, what's going on? It's Josh. We just got to the Springfield yard. Maggie's currently in the back. I think she might be sleeping, but I'm not positive. Peter is over there. Sweep. Right there. It's hard to... I can't. Anyway, whatever. Peter's over there. Wait, can you even... Hello? Oh, there we go. What we're doing, because we're getting ready, Maggie has a wedding. One of her family members is getting married. Excuse me. And so, we are dropping this load here, potentially getting another load headed in that direction. And, yeah, so that's going to be our home time for this month-ish. Because with Palmer, every 5 weeks, you can take 5 days. If you need to take more than 5 days, you could potentially... Why are you doing this? I don't need you to refocus. Why is that happening? But why, though? Yeah, I don't actually know what I did. I did a thing, and it was like, nope, now no video for you. And I was like, but come back. Peesh. So, it's been a long night. We started driving at like 5. It's now 5:40. So it's been like 12 hours and 40 minutes. But we had some stop and starts, and we had to empty the toilet and stuff like that. And so yeah. But we're here now. We're not going inside because I don't feel like trying to disconnect. And okay, so here's the thing about the Springfield yard, to me, in my opinion. It's very risky to go through at night with a trailer. It's really, again, in my opinion, it's designed for bobtails. When you go through with a trailer, he's got a motorcycle. When you go through with a trailer, and particularly you go through the bobtail section, it feels risky. Yeah, so I didn't want to do that at night. I'm like, better not, I'll just wait. And out front of the yard, there's like a bunch of pull-through spots, which is really cool because it's like it's meant just for us. You're not supposed to use these if you're in a bobtail, so yeah. I guess one of the things I wanted to vlog about was, lately I've been having a really hard time with feeling frustrated. And so here's what I think happens, and Maggie was talking about this earlier, and I think she kind of might possibly agree with me. I feel like a lot of times when you look at somebody's Facebook, or you look at their YouTube, or their Insta, or whatever it is that you're looking at, you're seeing their highlight reel. And what I mean by that is, like, most of us, and I'm not knocking people that do this, I think it's human nature in some ways and instances where if you're going to put something online, you don't want to spread negativity. I don't know if y'all think that's a fair statement, but I do. But with something like trucking, I think it's I thought that was a palmy, but it's a primey. Most of the trucks here are primies, not palmies. Anyway, I think it's really normal for all of us to try and put a positive spin on everything, and it's not. I mean, there are some people that do it for narcissistic purposes, I believe, because they want to look a certain way, and I think that happens. But I think a lot of us, we post things online that we're just trying to only share good and not share bad. But I want to specifically talk for just a few minutes and kind of go into that negative place for a moment. So, trucking by far has been the job that has tested me the most in my life. I'm 37 years old. I've had quite a few different jobs. Obviously, pet sitting and behavior counseling is my passion, and I just love working with dogs. I love being with dogs. I owe dogs, particularly dogs, cats, animals. I owe them my life. I don't want to expand on that right now, but I have in other videos, and I spent over a decade of my life repaying that debt. Not that I ever could, trying to repay it. When I moved to California, the market was quite different, and starting a business there it takes money that I didn't have. But I did start, and just couldn't really find that traction. And when you're so I really truly believe in the law of attraction. And so when you're in a place where you're almost in desperation mode because you've got to pay rent, and rent is triple what it was in Michigan, I feel like you're starting at a disadvantage. Enter Maggie's idea to think about doing trucking. While I love driving, I've always considered myself to be a very safe driver. I'm very aware of traffic patterns, very conscientious. I'm safety-minded. And I have family members that have had CDLs. And I've been told that I should try it. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can do this. I don't even know if I'll be able to get my CDL, but I'll try. It's worth a shot because trucking afforded us the ability to be on the truck and not have rent, try something new and amazing, travel, decent pay, and there's just a lot of benefits, right? And we didn't really know what the negatives would be. This kind of sounds like I'm ramping up to tell you guys that I'm quitting, which I'm not. I simply thought that it would be a good idea to post a video where I'm not just like, everything's great, because it's not. Everything's not great. And that's okay, because, anyway, I'll get to that in a second. So, we looked at a lot of different companies, and we found one that we fell in love with. Jim Palmer Trucking. That's where I work. That's who I rep. And that's our trucking family. So, fast forward to the point where I actually do get my CDL. Holy crap. Amazing. Didn't know I'd be able to do it, but I was able to. Had an incident where I put my tandems in a ditch during training. Fast forward to through my solo period. Right? I got through my solo period. Yeah, Maggie and the boys get on the truck, and I'm at a drop yard for Prime in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. And I make a turn after I go through a guard shack. And I'm in my mind, and it was a very brief thought. In my mind, I thought, it's no big deal because all the other drivers in front of me had to have made this turn, so it should be fine. And it was just a split-second thought. That split-second thought should have given me pause. Like, don't assume that just because something looks like it was set up to be driven in a certain way, that's the way that it should be driven. Take nothing for granted. Take nothing for granted. That was my second incident. I hit a Jersey barrier, and I cracked the passenger side skirt on the trailer, and the tires on that trailer were already very old and not even legal. A couple of them weren't legal, but I reached out. I was at TA and I reached out to Prime and tried to get them replaced, and they wouldn't do all of them. So mind you, this one tire in question was already old, and I had already noted it, and TA had already said to Prime it needed to be replaced. But what they think is when I went over the Jersey barrier and laid it down and the tire came down off, that it cracked the tire. So, okay. But mind you, there had already been a leak there, and I don't know for sure. Either way, I fucked up. But whether or not the tire was actually 1000% my fault, I'm not entirely positive, and I don't have the expertise to make that decision, so I can only trust in the individuals that are responsible for that. Not bitching about their decision, but that was strike 2. Even though my first incident was in training, that apparently didn't matter, although I was told it did. Either way, I made a mistake. And then right before that, I had, oh, my glasses. Right before that, I'd gotten pulled over by a police officer, and when I was going to the previous location, not the previous location, but it was like in that same area when I was down in PA, and for traveling outside of my lane. But the part of that was that there was construction, and there were workers that were outside of their coned area. And I was in the right lane, and I moved over so that I wouldn't. So if there's a lane here, and I'm in this lane, I moved over so that the trucks in this lane could move over so that those workers didn't get hit. But you're not supposed to do that based on what I was told. You're supposed to stay your lane, which I learned my lesson, right? Everything's a learning thing. And I lawyered up, and I'm trying to get that reduced, and we'll see what happens. But essentially, a lot has happened. Why am I talking about this now? Well, because it's been a little bit of time. Some time has passed. I've been reprimanded. There's a little bit of pressure where I'm standing now because I can't make any further mistakes. Otherwise, I will be ineligible to be a driver. What does that mean? That means that I'm very stressed because there's no margin for error. Not that there ever was, but like, as a driver, you know your first mistake you're not going to get. Unless you kill someone or you do something really horribly awful, you're not going to get fired because we all make mistakes. But once you get past that point where you've made your mistakes, they can only give you so many chances. It's ultimately a business, right? And I appreciate and respect that. I'm not bitching about Jim Palmer, Well-Trans, whatever. Not at all. But just talking about it. So, with this going on, where that leaves me is in a situation where I'm pretty stressed, right? And there's another driver that I don't want to say where he works for or whatever because I don't want to do any identifying comments. But I've noticed his posts are in a negative headspace. And initially I'm like, oh, damn, that sucks, you know? Like, he's having a hard time and I hope he's okay, and, you know. And then another part of me, not in any way that I'm happy that he's having a hard time, but there was a part of me that's like, he's keeping it real, and I don't feel alone because of that. It's not just me. Other people have hard times too. Because in the trucking industry, in my opinion, a lot of drivers seem to, they're not being fake, in my opinion. I feel like they're trying to, you know, not be negative. They're trying to be chill and not talking about, like, oh, man, today I couldn't get my landing gear to go up, and this happened, and this happened. Nobody wants to be the one who's always bitching, right? And I respect that as well. But people do watch our videos, particularly on this channel, and ask a lot about trucking. And this is the entire reason that I'm making this long-ass video. There are going to be, like, trucking has tested me more than any other job. I have faced down red zone dogs that wanted to tear my throat out, and not been as scared as I have been at times in this job. It's intimidating. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for you if you can't handle things changing. If you can't roll with it, you're going to have a hard time with trucking, because oftentimes you don't know where you're going to be the next day. I'm learning to really embrace that, but I still have hard times. There are times where I get so frustrated, and from what I understand, a lot of this is being within your first year, getting miles under your belt, and learning how to deal with the stress. Another part of it is I've gotten myself into a pickle where I just can't fuck up again. And that's scary, because my family, this is my home now. My family's on this truck with me. And not even withstanding my own personal situation, I don't want to be that driver that's messing up. I don't want to make mistakes. I want to be a good driver. I want my dispatcher to be, like, happy with me. You know, I want things to be good. I want to be good at my job. I want to be competent, not only competent, but skilled, you know? But what happens with trucking is you have to build your skill. And it hasn't particularly come easily for me. And I want to just be honest about that. If you're a first-year trucker and you are sitting in your truck just as I am, and I just want you to know that you're not alone if you're frustrated. And you're not alone if sometimes you feel like you just want to take the truck to the nearest terminal and give them the keys. You're not alone. But, having said that, I'll have those moments, and then I'll come right back to... So, it's kind of like this thing that Maggie and I say. There's love parts and there's hate parts. When I'm out there fighting with landing gear because a yard dog drugged them and they're now jammed, that's a hate part sometimes. Because it's frustrating and it takes time and it makes me slower than I want to be. Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know exactly what happened, but that's a hate part for me, personally. My valet doesn't work right now. I mean, it works, but usually it makes me look like an idiot because it honks a bunch of times. And because it won't accept the code. I don't know why. It just needs to be replaced. Or my Qualcomm has been unresponsive at times, and I have to message dispatch and get them to reset it. And somebody very wise, very recently told me, if you know it doesn't work, why are you getting frustrated with it for not working? It doesn't work. Be excited when it finally does, because the nature of something that doesn't work is to not work. And getting stressed about it and frustrated about it is kind of asinine, right? I get that. And why am I talking about this? Am I trying to be negative? No. One, talking about things and vlogging is, I don't know, guys. Like, sometimes for me, it's like, once I make a video about it, or if I write about it, or even Excuse me, I'm so tired. Or even if I talk to Maggie about it enough, I can get to the point where I've gotten it out. And so it's okay. And so this is helping me even as I talk about it. And being honest that unless I tell you guys what's going on, you might assume that everything is honky-dory and that I'm just having the easiest time with this and that everything's smooth. And guys, it's not. Trucking isn't smooth by nature. It's crazy and wonderful and terrible and frustrating, and it is what you make it in many ways. And the more frustrated I allow myself to get, the more frustrated I continue to be. And I guess that kind of sounds maybe a little stupid, but here's what I mean. If I'm so tense all of the time, like I have been, where I'm at like a 7 or an 8, then one little thing happens that normally wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it happens and I'm already at a 7 or an 8, so I explode. And I put myself through a lot of stress. I put Maggie through a lot of stress. I stress the dogs out. And that's not good, you know? But it's, in my opinion, way better to talk about it so that you don't, think that everything's just perfect. Because it's not. It's not a thing, I don't think, with trucking. Maybe once you get that experience in and things become a little bit more routine, then I think it gets easier. But from where I'm standing, I'm still, when I pull my CDL out to hand it to a shipper or whatever, I'm still amazed that I got it. In a very grateful way, but I get why people say your first year is terrible and it's hard and get through it. Because you can, and you will, and if there's anything that I can impart upon you, it's don't ever assume something. Don't assume, okay, so check the address of your 90 with your bills, with what it says. Check the temperatures, check the seals. And then call your shippers and your receivers to make sure that they have you down and to make sure whether or not you can park there. And basically, any of the mistakes that I've made have been because I failed to understand something correctly, or I left something to chance. Don't do that, because I don't want you to make the mistakes I've made. Don't leave anything to chance. Double check everything. And not for nothing, but put everything in writing. Because it's really easy, and this is saying nothing bad about dispatch. It's really easy for you or for your dispatcher to think that they understood what you were saying on the phone and then they really didn't. Or you weren't being clear, or you didn't understand what they said. But if you get it in writing, it's pretty obvious if there's a breakdown in communication. And it's easy enough to look back at your notes, look back at the messages, so that you can see, so that you can see what's what. Also, not a bad idea to get a call recorder for your phone. Because do you want to have to call your dispatcher back to figure out what the heck they said to do? Or is it nice to just have that call recorded on your phone for a plethora of reasons? Leave that up to you. I may or may not be implementing it. Who knows? But it's a tool that you can use. But mainly just know that if you're struggling, even if you're not in your first year, but you're struggling as a truck driver, you're not alone. I struggle too. I've been really having a hard time battling negativity, battling my frustration, battling just trying to balance my desire to be perfect or good at my job with the fact that I'm human and that I can only take so much pressure, so much self-inflicted pressure before I just really get frustrated. So just know that you're not alone. Just know that this can be a very difficult job. People that aren't truck drivers don't really have the capability to understand it unless they've ridden in a truck and experienced the trucker life. Oh, excuse me. They really don't get it. And so I mean, for some of you that watch my videos, our videos, you may be sitting there being like, well, my loved one is in a truck, or I'm in a truck and my loved ones don't understand. Or you might think, I don't understand what my loved one complains about because, like, you're just driving down the road. No. If you're a truck driver, they can't understand what you're going through because they're not going through it themselves. And if your loved one's on a truck, give them another person that I consider to be very, very wise, and one of my role models told me that I need to be better about giving myself some grace. If I make a mistake, to try and give myself a little grace. If I'm tired, if I'm frustrated, whatever's going on, to try and give myself a little bit more grace. And I've not been very good at that, but I'm going to continue to try. But yeah, I don't want to be yet another person whose videos or whose Facebook posts or whatever are just the highlight reel. I want to be honest with you guys about how this is hard sometimes. I want to answer your questions, and I also want these videos to do what they've always done and help me to be the best version of myself that I can be. Because to be honest, Maggie and these boys don't deserve a cranky asshole that can't handle the pressure. And that's how I am sometimes, unfortunately. I'm working on it, but yeah, this is hard, and that's okay. And it's okay to admit that it's hard. It may not be hard for the next guy, but for this one it is. And that's, I'm in my first year, and we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah. Ravi. I guess, hopefully that's your name. Did I see the movie Moana? Yes, I did. So yeah, there's a learning curve, I believe. And, I guess that means that you find a way to... Maybe there's a delay, Ravi? Yes, I saw Moana. I don't know. It's give yourselves grace if you're having a hard time. And if you haven't started trucking yet, start thinking in advance. What is it that you can do to ease stress? Is it sitting down and watching some Netflix on your phone after you're done driving for the day? Maybe you watch Moana? I don't know. Can you sing Triops Has Three Eyes, please? I don't sing, Ravi. Sorry. But, I don't know. It's just, I think it comes down to preparing yourself, giving yourself all of the tools that you possibly can to alleviate your stress whenever possible. I brought cross-stitching with me, but I don't have enough time for that. And the setup and all that, and the needles on the truck with the dogs, no. So that didn't work. I'm going to be using writing as a help. Making videos helps. Putting music on while I'm driving. Can you please react to the why does the sun really shine? I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't do music and stuff on this channel, Ravi. I'm more of a vlogger. I talk about the law of attraction and trucking and animals. But yeah, I don't really have a way to react to something because I make these videos on my phone. So unfortunately, yeah, I can't really do that. Sorry. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe start thinking about what you can do and trying to prepare yourselves. I had no idea how. It's not like I thought this was going to be easy, but I didn't know how hard it was going to be. I didn't know how frustrated I would get. I didn't know that was going to be a thing that was going to happen. And I find that meditation does actually help. As hokey as it might sound to some of you. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But meditation does help. Music helps a lot. Having Maggie and the boys with me, particularly Marvin has always been really soothing to me. So cuddling with Marv, cuddling with obviously Maggie because she's the best in the world ever. But that's a huge comfort to me. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to a new project that we're working on, which I can't necessarily talk about it yet, but it definitely has to do with writing and NaNoWriMo. So that's super exciting. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Whatever you can do when you're driving to keep your mind engaged, I find that really helps. And, yeah. So, I guess, mainly, I wanted to make this video so that you guys know that I like to keep it real. I like to be honest. Good morning, Caitlin. I want to be honest about, like, it's not all sunshine and daisies, and that's okay. There's good and there's bad, like anything in life. And that I never remember the exact verbiage for the quote, but it's like Dumbledore says, light can be found in the darkest of times when one only remembers. Wait, crap. See, I can never remember the exact quote, but I love Dumbledore quotes because Harry Potter, because yes. But basically, like, if you look for it, there's good to be found anywhere. And that's, even just thinking about that and knowing that makes me feel like, oh yeah. It's hard to think when you're in a moment where you're really frustrated. It's hard to remember, like, okay, deep breath. Like, that's hard for me to remember sometimes. It's hard for me to, yeah, if one only remembers to turn on the light. Exactly. Caitlin just posted that. And it's so true. But remembering it. So, I kind of feel like it's almost like in The Karate Kid, where he's and I particularly think of the one with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith, where he has him repeatedly do the same things so that it's not just like something that he does when he thinks of it. It's muscle memory. It's his reactions, you know? And I feel like being positive and looking for the good can kind of be like that at times, where the more you practice it, and okay, you don't need to be going that fast, good sir, or madam, whoever you might be. It feels like the more you practice that, the more it becomes a part of who you are. So when I'm making videos and I'm talking about the notes from the universe, that's not me trying to teach you guys. That's me almost like reminding myself, right? And when I talk about this probably won't help you guys as much as it's helping me. By talking about it somehow, it's like when I write. It's on the paper. So in a sense, I've gotten it out, and that helps. And like, I don't know why, but singing in the car, that helps. I'm sorry, Ravi, I'm not gonna sing on YouTube because nobody needs to hear that. But it's an outlet, you know. It's a good tool, and it's fun. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Was I wanted to make this video so that you guys would know exactly what's going on, and then you would have more than just a highlight reel to reference. Trucking is hard. I'm actually very lucky because I get to have Maggie and the boys with me. But when I was alone, it was even harder. Now it's harder in different ways because I have to make sure that that I don't just get mad at them instead of feeling what I'm actually upset about. And unfortunately, that does happen sometimes, where I'll feel like I'm mad at Maggie, but I'm not really mad at her. I'm just frustrated by whatever I'm dealing with. And that makes me really sad when I do that. So I strive, and I'm striving to try to not do that, and to be really self-aware of my feelings and my thoughts and my emotions. I thought that was a palmy, but that's a primey. So yeah. It's funny because I say things to people when they contact me. Like, I have people that contact me and they really just want to know. They seem to really want encouragement. And I try to be as honest as possible and say, you know, it's not exactly an easy job that you're going to take on, you know, and you won't get rich quick on it. But I wouldn't, and it's funny, as I think about saying this, I'm realizing just how true it is. I wouldn't have traded this experience for anything in the world. The fact that I get to drive all over the country with Maggie and the boys, I get to see amazing things. I've gotten to do the 90, the 80, the 70, so many highways, even, and I'm not even through my first year, but I've gotten to go as far north as you can while still being in our country, and as far south as you can while still being in our country, and as far east and west as I can while still being in our country. And this from a Philly boy that never thought he'd travel. That's pretty rad. So, like Dumbledore says, looking for that light, you know? Making the cognitive decision to turn it on. And you won't always do it. You're going to get frustrated, and sometimes you're going to stay in that place. But you're not alone in the fact that you're feeling those thoughts or feeling those things or thinking those thoughts. You're not alone. And that's the biggest part of it for me, is feeling not alone. Because when I saw that post, I was like, wow, I'm not the only person feeling this. I'm not alone. I'm not the biggest butt in the world, because this isn't easy for me. Not all the time. Sometimes it's easy, and that's great. But the hard times are really hard, because I'm still a rookie. And maybe that's okay. Maybe we try and give ourselves a little grace. And maybe we try and remember that every day is a new chance. So. Alright, well, I've got to go get some sleep now. And I'm not even going to take the boys OUT because they're just knocked out. I'm just going to crash for a little bit. And then it's, goodness, it's like 6:20 in the morning. And that's bedtime for me. I hope that you guys are well. I hope that no matter what happens to you today, that you try and take care of yourself, and that something makes you smile today. I hope someone around you laughs and it's contagious. I hope that you know that you matter and that you're cared about a lot. If you're watching this video, I care about you. And if you're watching this video, you're not alone. And if you think you are, comment. And we'll make sure that you know that you're not alone. Because you're not. Unless you want to be. And in which case, don't you know how awesome you are? Don't you know you deserve to be in good company? Don't you know that you deserve love? All of those things are available to you right now. And, yeah. I need to get some sleep. But thank you guys. Caitlin, thank you. Ravi, those are both of my peeps that were here during the live. And if you missed the live shows, don't worry. We'll be back on. But it's pretty cool. My sister came by and said hi this morning, so that's rad. And yeah. Oh dear. Oh, that's a thing that just happened. Yeah. Luckily, I have a case and a screen protector, so we should be okay. Are we okay? Did it hurt when I dropped you? Sorry. Alright, guys. Make it a good one. Much love. Peep out.